Hey guys, I have a question for you. Can a great but unfortunately discontinued designer fragrance be brought back to life but with better performance than the original fragrance and at a very affordable price? Well, I guess the guys from Armaf tried to do that when they created Infinity Silver. But have they done a good job? Well, let's find out today. Plus, in this video I can finally say that I can review a very nice freshie from the brand of Fragrance World and French Avenue that's called Aether. But before I do all those things, you know that I'm George, the nice medic gentleman, and it's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content. Let's first quickly talk about this one from French Avenue Ether. Now this fragrance has seen quite a lot of hype in the past few months, maybe about half a year or so, and this has been presented as being a great clone of Parfum de Marly's Greenly. And I for a very long time I just couldn't get my hands on a bottle, and a few weeks ago I finally was able to snatch a bottle of this one so I can test it and actually do a video about it. So let's quickly go over this one first. A very quick look at the presentation. You've probably seen this a million times, but it comes in a white colored thick cardboard box with some green and golden accents. On the front you got the name of the fragrance. Concentration here is extrait de parfum supposedly, and the bottle size is 100 milliliters. And then this is the bottle. Actually the bottle looks really nice, especially in person. I've seen it on photos where it looked nice, but in person it's actually looks really classy. Cap is plastic, but it's a snug fit. And another great thing about this fragrance is the atomizer or the sprayer. As you can see, it's a pressurized sprayer with great distribution. And as for the scent itself, this definitely is a clone of Greenly, and it's definitely a very nice clone of Greenly. It opens up very fresh, very bright, with a lot of citruses, but also with a lot of sweetness from a green apple note, which smells a bit of fresh, but at the same time quite sweet. Also, you immediately after spraying this one, you'll get quite a bit of woodiness. There's a strong cedar note with this fragrance and quite a bit of musk, at least my nose and on my skin. This tends to be quite musky from the opening to the dry down. It has a bit of a green touch, a bit of a floral touch, but the main players in the opening of this fragrance are those citruses, the sweet green apple note, the woody notes, especially the cedar, and that musky note. When this goes into its dry down, you lose the freshness, of course. You still retain quite a bit of the sweetness from the green apple note, but this becomes more woody. The cedar note becomes stronger and stronger on its dry down. It becomes more musky as well. Maybe there's a hint of vetiver with this fragrance, and definitely a bit of oak moss. And it's a very nice, very pleasant smell, very masculine, that has sort of a touch of a shower jelly vibe to it, at least to my nose, thanks to that apple sweetness. Has a bit of a blue touch. This smells a little bit like a blue fragrance, and it's again very masculine, very easy to wear, very bright, and all around just smells really nice in my opinion, with very good quality. As for how close it feels to Greenly, it actually is very close, but at the same time has a few minor differences. This one to my nose feels a little bit sweeter, thanks to that strong apple note in the opening and also on the dry down. The original fragrance becomes more woody, a lot more woody on its dry down. It becomes a little bit earthy, whereas Ether is basically sweeter and less woody than the original fragrance. Maybe this is like a slightly more youthful take on the original scent. You'll immediately recognize this if you're familiar with the original, but definitely it's not a one-to-one clone. Now, performance-wise, to be honest, I was a bit disappointed by this fragrance. It's not a bad performer. I didn't have super high expectations because this is a fresh, bright scent, and I I was left a little bit disappointed. The performance here has been about average, maybe slightly above average, so that means around about 6 hours, at least on my skin. Now maybe with time and maceration this will improve a little bit, but so far that's what I'm getting. Also the projection is good for the first about 1 hour, and after that it starts to sit closer to the skin. So if you have not yet bought this fragrance, if you have not yet experienced this one, don't have very high expectations when it comes to the actual performance. Price-wise, this used to be quite expensive for a clone initially when it was released. I think it was going for something like 60 euros here in Europe, so around about $70. But nowadays, prices have started to settle a little bit, and this could be found nowadays for around about 40 euros. So think of it like 45, 6, $7, somewhere in that price range. Let's say up to $50. At that price point, it's a good, very good clone, very good alternative of Greenlee, with good quality, and I would say at the current prices this is a good deal. And versatility wise, it's a very versatile fragrance that theoretically can be worn throughout the year, but definitely the best time to wear this one because of the freshness are the warmer months of the year, and definitely this doesn't have the performance to work great in cold weather. And now let's talk about the other fragrance featured in today's video, the one that I opened up the video with, which is called Infinity Silver. It comes from the brand of Armaf, and this one is a clone of L'Homme Ultime, a very nice, very masculine member of the L'Homme line, which unfortunately has been discontinued for a while now, and it's pretty hard to find and can be very expensive. Now, I know that Rasasi also have a clone that's called, I think, Essential, which unfortunately I don't have. That fragrance is impossible to find around where I live. So I was really happy to see that Armaf also did a clone of the original fragrance, which I used to like quite a lot back in the day. And I can definitely say that Armaf have done a really good job. Very quick look at the presentation. This is how you open up the actual box. It comes in this sort of a silver color with a bit of like a mirror finish on it, and also some black accents on the back. The concentration here is EDP. The bottle size is 100 milliliters. It also came wrapped up with a bit of a ribbon around the edges, which I had to remove in order to open up the box. And then this is how the bottle looks. It has this sort of an interesting bottle design that has a hole in the middle. It's not the prettiest bottle in the world, but it's also by far not the ugliest one from Armaf, I'm happy to say. The cap is plastic, but it has metallic coating. It's a snug fit, so it's a interesting looking design of the bottle that I kind of like, to be honest. Let me show you the sprayer in action. The sprayer is good, not the best one in the world, but it has power, so it shoots the juice out with a nice amount of strength. And the scent itself is very bright, very fresh, but also feels a bit warm because it has quite a bit of spiciness to my nose. Now the opening is dominated by some citruses. There's a bergamot, there's some orange, there's a grapefruit note in here that feels quite sweet. There's also a ginger note, which adds an interesting touch because it feels a bit fresh, but at the same time feels kind of spicy. It adds a bit of warmth to the opening of this one. There's also, I think, a cardamom note, definitely something else spicy, which adds even more warmth to the opening of this one. It also feels quite sweet right from the get-go, but it's mainly about the freshness and that spicy warmth that you'll get out of this one. Something that, to be honest, that I don't remember the original having this warmth. It was more on the fresher side. Also, this feels a little bit sweeter in the opening than the original fragrance. Now, the more this dries down, the more woody it becomes. There's some cedar wood with this fragrance. There's a bit of vetiver, so get a bit of sort of an earthy feel out of it as well. But it also remains quite sweet. I think down to an probably an ambery note, and definitely there's quite a bit of ambroxan, as you would expect from something modern, a modern fragrance. All around, it's very masculine, it's very easy to wear, it's very versatile, has a bit of an, on one hand it feels a little bit youthful and playful because it has quite a bit of sweetness, but at the same time, because of the woodiness, because of the slight earthiness of this fragrance, because of the spiciness, it also has a bit of a mature factor. So definitely this is a fragrance that can suit pretty much any crowd, any masculine crowd out there. And Armaf have done a really good job with the scent, I think, in my opinion. This feels, at least from what I remember the original fragrance smelling, this feels a little bit more spicy in the opening than the original one, and a little bit sweeter on the dry down, but smells quite similar to what I remember the original fragrance from YSL smelling. Performance wise, now here is an interesting thing. I've watched a few reviews of this fragrance, and from what I've seen, a lot of people mention that this has good performance, but there was no one that actually said that this is a strong fragrance. And in my experience, for some reason on my skin, this fragrance just performs really, really nicely. First of all, it has really good longevity. It lasts at least 8 hours on my skin, and I've had this bottle for about a week, so it's not gone through a full cycle of maceration or whatever, so it was strong straight out of the box. Definitely stronger than the original one was when it comes to longevity, and also this projects really, really nicely off my skin for some reason. It's not super loud, but definitely it's a strong projecting fragrance for up to 2 hours initially. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the performance of Infinity Silver. Price wise, I personally paid around about 30 euros, and at that price point, given the fact that this is very masculine, very easy to wear, very versatile, and it's a very good clone of a discontinued fragrance, I think it's a very, very good deal. And versatility wise, it's again super versatile fragrance that theoretically should be worn more, in the warmer months of the year, but definitely this one has quite good performance, and you can wear this one in winter as well. So guys, this was all that I had for you today. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.